baseball lifestyle. It's my lifestyle.
Everyone's just taking sips of their drink real quick.
Are we recording now?
Yeah.
Excellent. And this has been ASMR with the grounds crew.
Listen, if it works for Twitch streamers, why not us?
Facts. Some ASMRs are pretty funny. Yeah, there you go. What else?
And this is why sponsors don't give us money.
Hey, listen, if we wanted to go out there, we could get some glass breaking.
Yeah.
We can make it all happen.
That'd be pretty good. Welcome back to the grounds crew, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe, toss us a review, and follow us on all social platforms. They are listed below.
Every single one.
All of them. Every single one. Bill, how are you doing today?
I feel great.
Yeah?
It's a great day to be alive.
It sure is. Dennis, how are you?
Rangers, Game 5 tonight.
Yep.
Tied 2-2. Big game. That's how I'm feeling.
High stress. Why not us, right?
Why not us?
Why not us? And speaking of why not us, why not Adley Rutschman coming to the show, folks? He's here. He did it.
Your ability to transition, absolutely elite.
Thank you, man. Thrilled that Adley Rutschman has arrived.
Yeah, it's about damn time
Yeah.
for the kid. He needed to come up. Great to see him in his first game get a big, meaningful hit. They won a game. It was nice. Little struggle bus after, but that's part of being in the show. You're not gonna immediately come up and dominate. But good to see him get the chance to come up, finally make his debut.
Mm-hmm.
Long time coming, and super proud of him. Hope he has a great season.
Yeah, great dude. Loved how when he really got out there to start the game, he kind of took it all in. The crowd was all amped about him because, fingers crossed he's around for a long time. And I hope he has a wonderful career. So, good stuff there. Really was the last rookie for me. I mean, Dennis were talking about it actually pre-show as well. Other than Adley Rutschman, the one guy I know a lot of people are still looking to get into the league is O'Neal Cruz from the Pirates. I don't necessarily know because he hasn't been hitting great in the minors. So I don't know what the Pirates are doing with them. Maybe they wait on him to actually get hot before they bring him up. He's also a gigantic shortstop. He's 6'7". So I don't necessarily think he can play shortstop at that size. And they also have a Rookie of the Year caliber guy and Brian Hayes. So I don't know what their situation is there. Maybe they're trying to wait and figure out if he can be that guy at shortstop or if they need to move Brian around and just kind of figure it out there. But good to see Adley up. All the rookies have kind of been figuring it out for the most part. The next big thing from this upcoming week, or this previous week, I should say, the Tim Anderson and Josh Donaldson saga, which kind of has what I guess was really a few years in the making. Apparently, Josh Donaldson, in the last year or 2 years, has been referencing Tim Anderson as Jackie jokingly in reference to Jackie Robinson, because Tim Anderson in an article with Sports Illustrated basically said that he is the next Jackie Robinson, but not really. It was more of in the sense of he's starting a wave in baseball of having more fun and kind of just enjoying the game and being very outward with his emotions, stuff like that. After his big bat flip against the Royals went viral, caused a bunch of fights, all that jazz. And then this week, Josh Donaldson sliding into second base, whatever, was kind of calling him Jackie sarcastically, if and a lot of people were kind of equating it into just gamesmanship of if you were playing and you called yourself Mike Trout or I'm the next Mike Trout and someone came into you and was okay, Mike, what's up, Mike? It was that kind of angle, and obviously, it's a little bit more sensitive because of Jackie and who he was and what he actually did for the game.
So I'm gonna slide right in. Slide right in
cool,
with this.
Go for it.
Tim Anderson overreacted.
Okay.
This has been blown up into something that it's not.
I think so too.
And that's hard for people to hear because we become extremely sensitive about everything.
Yep.
As a society at large, we used to think some things were funny and it was good to see. And then now it's nope, couldn't do that. I watched Bad Boys 2 over the weekend.
Okay.
And some of the scenes, if you were to have that come out in a movie now, would be shocking and appalling and horrible. And people would be like, That's terrible. But everybody loved that movie. We're just drifting towards this. Again, people talk about political correctness and stuff like that. Tim got way overblown. I don't know if Donaldson said something else. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's other things that he's been doing that got him there. The fact that he got suspended for just saying that is also just kind of trash.
Yep.
And it shows me that the MLB and everybody is kind of afraid to just stand up and just be like, no. I don't know if we talked about it on the show. I think I talked about it with a couple of you guys, and I know I talked about it with Josh Schapp. But Netflix, did you guys see what happened with Netflix a couple weeks ago?
No.
So a bunch of their employees, they put out a new mandate, and they said, because a lot of employees were like, we don't like some of the stuff you're putting out. Mm-hmm. We feel like, it's bad. And it's like stuff that's, controversial in a left or a right sense.
Yeah.
And Netflix pretty much said to them, kick rocks then. If you want to, quit. We're not going to stop and change the way that we do things because you have a problem that you have to work on something in both directions, right? That's like saying somebody who is homophobic was afraid to work on a show that was about gay people, right? Like, nah, work on your show. Like, we're going to put out content that matters. If it matters that much to you, kick rocks. And the opposition is if you have to work on something that's about white supremacy, you got to work on it, right? That's the content that we're going to be putting out. Kind of have to deal with where we're at. And they said, go with it. This was one of those moments where it was kind of like you chose a side to kind of lean into a political correctness and kind of go to the throng of stuff that was happening there. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody overreached. I think everybody's got to take a step back. I didn't, from anything I've heard about it, and I've tried to like, okay, was there something else? Was there this? And then he got suspended a game, and I was like, shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Yeah, I definitely see the overblown there. I think it also like I understood his like use of his comparison, but I do think if it was Tony Gwynn or Willie Mays, this would not be a conversation. But because it is Jackie and because he is so important to the sport, it's caused a lot of chaos with people, and including Aaron Judge, who publicly said that he was not a fan of the comments that were made. And obviously it's Aaron Judge and he's the leader of the team, and it's like, okay, well, is it going to cause a problem in the clubhouse? Whatever.
But here's my question: Does Judge actually have a problem with it, or is it one of those moments where he's saying I have a problem with it because it's media pressure?
Yep.
Right, and he feels like I have to say something and I have to choose a side.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily that you choose a side you believe in; you choose the side that's not going to do any harm to your reputation.
Yep.
And like that again, like he didn't say that Donaldson's racist. He didn't say anything like that. He just said he disagreed with the comment.
Yeah, he said, joke or not, I don't think it's the right thing to do there.
Then that's my point. That's such a bullshit answer. Like, that's such a punk ass answer because you were like, you know what? Because I can always apologize to my boy Josh. If I'm Josh Donaldson, I'd tell Judge every time I see him, you can kick rocks. Like, I don't care we're on the same team. Kick rocks. Right? Like, you didn't come to bat for me.
Yeah.
Right? And you didn't even say that I did anything wrong. You just put out some shit that made it that you didn't have to take any heat.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at now is how do I do the minimal amount of reputation harm when asked a difficult question instead of just saying what I believe in. And there's being an asshole, and like if you're truly a racist asshole, like goodbye. Right? You go ahead, show yourself, and we can exit you. Right? But if you're also at the same time like that, none of the attention, it's none of the stuff. Be yourself.
Yeah. And what I thought was interesting too is that I haven't really seen anybody backing up Donaldson like for his character, which I wouldn't say is like the best look. Like if you had a bunch of people coming out like, no, Josh Donaldson isn't that guy. Like this is absolutely beyond proportion.
But nobody is who's coming out and saying that Josh Donaldson is like the worst person. No. Everybody on the White Sox?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. So like nobody's coming out and saying like, so now we're in this situation where those guys are allowed to say that he's as much of a jerk as they want because they'll get the benefit from it because it's the sign of the time. But nobody's coming out like, yeah, this has consistently been a problem with Donaldson. He's always been this guy.
Right.
Just nobody's coming out and being like, yo, he's our guy. Why? He's a new Yankee. Right? The Yankees don't care about him necessarily.
Yeah.
Right? And didn't Donaldson have problems with, what's his name? Cole?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So maybe there's a situation where it's like, hey, a year ago, everybody liked that Donaldson would speak his mind and just say stuff. Now he's on the team, and it's kind of like, yeah, you know what? Like, you're not our homie yet. Like, you haven't come up clutch in a big game. We haven't been on the team very long. Like, we're just not going to say anything. But that's my point. Again, it goes back to the only people saying stuff are people who benefit from it.
Yep.
And if you're not saying anything, it's because you're like, yeah, there's no benefit. And then if you're asked the question directly and you can't avoid it, you say something that doesn't actually say anything, like Aaron Judge did.
Yeah. And like that wasn't absolutely an opportunity for him to say, like, no, Josh Donaldson isn't like whatever you guys are painting him to be. That's not him.
I think everyone at this point knows who Donaldson is as a guy in the league. Like, he's even back in college, like in high school, he was always chirping guys. Like, I think people are just used to him always trying to get under people's skin because that's how he does his game.
And I think in the sportsmanship sense, that's all it was. I don't think it had any racial tone towards it. But that is the angle that everyone is taking. It's like, oh, Josh Donaldson's a racist.
You can't call yourself. Listen, if he had never had a conversation where he said that he's the next Jackie Robinson, which is already dumb. Like, we're in a situation where Tim Robinson's having like Tim Anderson is having a nice stretch of time, but like we go back, like he hasn't been like a superstar player. He's not that impactful on the game. To say that is arrogance in and of itself. The only reason you're saying is because you're a black player, right? Like, that's not okay either. Like, what are you talking about? That you think that's your impact on this game right now? Show up and do it every day then. Show and prove that all the time. And like that would be my response. And we were in Denver last year and we were at the Players Alliance. And like, I know who the people who were trying to change things are. They were up on a panel and they were talking.
Yep.
Right?
Didn't see you there.
Didn't see you there. So like, let's be real about like what you want to be. If you make that statement, if I came out and I'm like, you know what, I'm the next Babe Ruth, right? Somebody gonna come over and be like, oh, okay, babe, right? If a black player says that to me or a Spanish player says that to me, it's racist. What?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Right? That'd be me being so ticky-tack foul on something that's not real.
Yep.
This is the same situation. And again, is it the fact that it's grown this big? It's more a sign of we've just become so soft that everything can hurt us.
Yeah. And just the way it's also the fact that the media has such an impact on how everything is seen now.
Yep.
It's unreal. And I saw a lot of people too questioning like, okay, so Donaldson obviously appealed the suspension. If it doesn't go through and he takes the suspension, they want it to not just be swept away once the suspension is like upheld. They want to like keep pressing. I'm like, no, this was already too much. Stop pressing it. It doesn't need to be a thing.
Speaking of not pressing it anymore, Trevor Story, after having a super slow start in the month of May, batting average still sucks, but an 871 OPS, 8 home runs, 28 RBIs. Not long after you said Trevor Story is a bag of sand.
Yep.
How's that feel?
Oh, do you want the numbers since he said he was a bag of sand?
Oh, give it to me, Dennis.
Please.
I love that you have these stats.
So, Trevor Story, during this winning streak that the Red Sox had prior to last night, they won 6 straight. Trevor Story became the first player in Red Sox history. They've been around a long time.
Sure
to
have.
hit 6 home runs and 17 RBIs in a 5-game stretch. During that stretch, his OPS was 1272.
So Trevor Story needs to send a bottle of wine to Josh Gerson to celebrate him breaking the curse.
Yep.
On his season. I see another note here. It's very innocuous, though. What's that say there, Gerson?
Sorry, I'm not on our notes.
It's 3 letters.
Oh.
It's 3 words.
3 words. Manny is back.
Do you have stats on that for me, Dennis? Because last time Dennis was like very excited to talk about the decline of Manny Machado because he's like, I got Bill.
You know, when I saw Manny, I thought Manny Ramirez came back somehow, so I'm not prepared for this.
As of 2 days ago, his May stats were batting .342 with 4 jacks, 1,017 OPS, and 12 RBIs.
And I got just even better since the last 7 games, pretty much since he brought up that he was slumping, batting .400 with a .700 slugging percentage, .455 on base percentage. That works its way out to an .1155 OPS.
You are welcome.
So again, Manny Machado should send a bag of dicks to Dennis and let it explode on him.
In the month of May, he only has a 987 OPS.
Only has a 987 OPS. Look at that slump that he went through.
There you go.
Does he still lead the league in batting average?
Probably.
Okay. I'm just checking.
I'll check right now.
Is he still leading the league in WAR?
Batting average is actually JD Martinez now. Machado is leading in WAR, though.
What's his WAR?
His WAR is 3.3.
So at a 3.3, he could end the season now, and he's going to finish in the top 50 players in the league.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And
not,
Dennis,
not bad, Bob.
Dennis.
Yes.
Speaking of JD Martinez.
Oh, he's been incredible this month. Are we just going right into the hot stuff?
Yeah,
might as well.
This is buttery,
right.
Go for it.
So JD Martinez, during that same winning streak that the Red Sox were on, he was batting .550 with a 1265 OPS. During the month of May, though, which is obviously more games, so more impressive.
Oh, yeah.
He's batting .434 and has an 1147 OPS during that time.
So he is hot. He is scalding hot.
Yeah.
Well, the Red Sox are.
in
So
general.
after we said that the Red Sox probably dead, can't come back, can't make it happen.
Won 6 straight prior to last night. So it's exactly 7 days ago. What a coincidence. What were we doing 7 days ago, boys?
We were having a bad
right
day.
here.
You know what? We were having a bad day. There was a lot of negative energy on the pod last week.
there was.
There was a lot of distortion in the force.
Yeah.
And now I feel like we're feeling a little bit better about things. Hopefully we can get back on path. This is the world telling us that any prediction that we made when we were hostile was not going to be a good one.
Yep.
Was not going to be a good one. Mookie Betts.
Speaking of Red Sox, obviously he's down with the
Former
Dodgers
Red
now.
Sox.
Month of May, he's batting at .341 with an 1149 OPS, 9 home runs, and 24 RBIs. Pretty solid.
Pretty solid indeed. And the Dodgers have been hot as well. I think they're 8-2 in their last 10, if I'm not mistaken. So they've been playing pretty solid. Yes, they are. And they're on top of the NL West right now, which is still relatively close. The Padres only a game and a half back. The Giants have made some headway. They're only 5 back now.
But I want to stay on Mookie because
Okay.
we've had conversations on this podcast that, what's the difference between Mookie Betts and Mike Trout? And it's that Mookie Betts was always a person who impacted winning. And his numbers didn't necessarily always match up to Trout's best, but he was available, and his teams would win. Yep. And they're both around the same age. They're both making big time money, right? They've both been top players in the sport for a decade now. And Mookie left his team. And the thing for me is Mookie last year took a little bit of a slide. Right now, he's already got better than 50% of the home runs that Betts had last year in a full season. So he in 41 games, he's got 12 home runs. Last year in 122, he hit 23. He's going to tear up those numbers. He's going to go back to the player he was when he was in Boston. Last 2 years, 1,078 OPS and a 915 OPS. If he's that guy, look out. I don't know how the Dodgers lose.
They're a well-developed, well-stacked team. So definitely, I think were they our pick to win the NL West, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah. So we'll see if that actually works out.
Good joke.
Yeah. Dennis, who's cold this week?
Well, speaking of the Dodgers, Nick Castellanos has had to play them a lot during the month of May. So the Phillies, they've had a stretch of series where they played the Dodgers twice, the Padres, and also the Braves. In that stretch, Castellanos has batted 146 with a 385 OPS, no home runs, and has struck out 14 times in 55 at-bats. I don't think he's going to lead the NL in home runs.
Oh, that's a shame. Who would have ever have thought that? Womp, 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 womp. For the season, Castellanos is now sitting at a 713 OPS in one of the easier parks in the entirety of baseball to hit. That's starting, if he continues on that tread line, that's looking like a pretty terrible contract, and that's going to be tough for the Phillies to overcome.
It's an unfortunate reality.
I'm just throwing shade at Josh Gerson a little bit because that's my favorite thing to do. No, in reality, this is why, to me, when we had the conversation, I did not expect Castellanos to be as big of a deal for the Phillies as some people were believing, and not just you. There were other people. He's a really good player, but what he's had to have happen, what's happened and coincided with this very big slide, Harper having the injury to his elbow and not being able to play the outfield has forced Castellanos to play right field. And he's now having to play out of position a little bit. He's being put in a bigger situation. I think he's carrying some of those responsibilities of being that guy on the outfield all the time. I think it's carrying him over to the plate. It's making it a struggle bus for him. Mm-hmm. And running into buzzsaws of good teams is always difficult.
Yeah. And Dennis, just real quick, I want to pause the cold list and go back to the hot list for a second. Because you left somebody off. And I think he deserves some recognition at this point. Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso in the month of May is batting .275 with an .840 OPS, 11 home runs, and 41 RBIs.
But give us the last 7 days.
That's a lie. He does not have 41 RBIs in the month of May. That's total.
It's total.
But he's tied with the lead. He has 24 RBIs in May. Excuse me. And he's batting .298 in May. There we go. Those are the May stats.
Hold on.
Last 7, Bill.
Yeah, give me last 7.
Pulling it up right now. So last 7 games for Pete Alonso. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He is batting .333 with a .911 OPS. He has 2 home runs and 8 RBIs.
And give me last 15.
Last 15. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. .267 batting average, .818 OPS, 4 home runs, 15 RBIs.
And that's the thing. Last week he's been hot. Mm-hmm. He's been hot, and they won a bunch and they scored a bunch of runs. Pete's in the conversation for NL MVP. He's been that kind of guy so far this year. Mm-hmm. I do, however, think he misses the hot list truly. Because he's been great and systemically great. Mm-hmm. But we're talking about hot list guys are out here rocking 1,300 OPSs.
That's fine.
A 900 OPS is a great player. And him for the season sitting at 840 is a solid OPS. But I don't know if I'm ready to put Pete in the...
He's tied for the league in RBIs. That's all I'm saying.
If Jock Peterson wasn't on the hot list, Pete Alonso's not on the hot list for the 7 games.
Jock's only been hot for the last 48 hours.
Jock in the last 7, .368 batting average, 1553 OPS, and of course he had a 3 home run game against the Mets.
How many home runs total in the last 7?
4.
So really a lot of that's carried by one game.
He also only
He went 4 for 6 in that game.
That's what I'm saying.
He only started 4 of those games too in those 7. So
yeah, so he most of his numbers came in the one game.
There you go.
So again, I would go with you. Jock had a hot day. Let's celebrate Jock. That was a great little run for him.
Yep.
But I don't know if I'm with you on the Jock thing. That's hotter than a pistol though. 1,500 OPS.
Yeah,
when he did damage, he did damage.
He's smashing.
So he can get on there. But
sure can.
Surprising guy who's on the cold list, Vladdy Guerrero.
It's the entire Blue Jays offense in May. Vlad Guerrero, obviously, he's been struggling. 60% ground ball rate. He's batting .240, which for Vlad, that's awful. With a .706 OPS, he's got 2 home runs and 6 RBIs in the month of May. But the rest of the lineup isn't looking good either. Matt Chapman, he's batting .152. Teoscar Hernandez batting .100 with a .296 OPS, and then Gurriel Jr. is also batting .138 in the month. A
whole bunch of guys below the Joey Gallo line.
Yeah, not what you want to see.
And their team ERA in that stretch is 3.25, so it's not like the pitching hasn't been like great or bad. They're just there. The bats aren't doing their job, and that's why the Blue Jays are struggling.
The pitching has at least been competitive and kept them in games, and the offense is just not putting them over the edge. So,
well, speaking of pitching, team that's dealing with some pitching woes right now, New York Mets.
Yeah, Bill. Last week you talked about Zapucki possibly coming up to the show, which he did.
He did.
And,
he absolutely
he was there for 4 outs.
That was a great prediction that I had.
Yeah, no, that was good.
And then he let up, what was it, 9
runs in an inning?
9 runs in 1.1.
4 homers.
Ooh, my Atlanta.
Yeah.
Talk about realizing that there is a gap between AAA and the show. Yeah, tough for him. That's on the heels of the fact that obviously the Mets lost Scherzer for what's going to look like about 8 weeks. So he will be back hopefully sometime after the All-Star break, but he's out through the All-Star break. So the Mets at this point are down 2 Cy Young Award winners, and their maybe best pitcher up until he got hurt. It explains a little bit with Tyler McGill, maybe why that last start didn't look that effective. The bicep tendonitis and put him on the shelf and some things like that.
He started throwing again, though, so he's kind of starting his work.
I know he'll be back,
yeah.
And I know he might be back sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
But the big news about coming back is next couple of weeks, they're thinking DeGrom might be back.
Yeah.
And if that happens, they're only going to really need to see a hodgepodge collection of starters, probably twice more, maybe 3 more starts.
Yeah.
So if they can just survive through that time, maybe they can get to it. The good thing that I was seeing was the Mets bats woke up a lot going against San Fran. I mean, yes, losing a game where you lose 13-12 stinks, but when you were down 9-2 or whatever they were down, 10-2 at one point in time, to make a big comeback, the bats got hot.
Yeah.
Lindor hit some big shots, triples, home runs, doubles, was all over the place. It was good to see the bats wake up a little bit yesterday. Skapucki put them in a Skapucki. I'm going to say his name wrong for the rest of his life. Was not great, but hopefully they can get there. And those injuries and that pitching issue goes right into Yankees injuries.
Oh, yeah, and they've got a bunch. Giancarlo Stanton, big one, has some ankle inflammation, not a calf strain, as I've been informed.
Idiot.
Is he on the 10-day IL? He is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was put on last night.
So he's out for a little bit. Chad Greene, one of their main relievers, getting Tommy John surgery.
Tough.
That's unfortunate, but they do have a ton of depth in their bullpen, probably the best in baseball.
They used to.
They still have a lot.
Chapman's out.
Chapman's out for a little bit. He has Achilles tendonitis, but again, they also have had
King has been terrible.
Yeah.
His last 6 appearances, he's been shelled.
Yep. But they got Clay Holmes, who's been the best reliever in baseball, pretty much. I think he has like a .6 ERA or something. Filthy.
I think they're in trouble.
We'll see. It's a long season. Loaiza's out for a little bit with a shoulder injury. Luis Gil, a depth starter, getting Tommy John. He's out for the season. And LeMahieu needed a cortisone shot in his wrist already. So it's a long season, guys. But when the injury bug starts showing up, it's going to keep showing up.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the Yankees and the Mets by July usually have some big problems. But the Yankees still best team in baseball right now.
I think you got to be happy because it's not about if guys on your team are going to get hurt.
Yep.
It's when, right? And I would say that for the Yankees, I am more concerned with their injuries than the Mets. Because the stuff that was going on with DeGrom with his shoulder blade, like that's looking like it's all the way healed. And he's not going to have to pitch a full season. He's just going to get to go be himself. So even if he ends up throwing 22 starts, like that's not too many for him to be successful. That's a great time to be hurt. I'd rather him get in when it's all warm and then be able to pitch in the playoffs than the inverse. Right? Where he dominates during the early part of the year, but then we wouldn't be around for the playoffs anyway.
Right.
Same thing with Scherzer. Scherzer getting a little older anyway. Now go take an 8-week rest, right? Come back after the All-Star game. When you left, we were sizably in the lead. Hopefully when you come back, we're sizably in the lead. If that happens, it's the best thing to happen. The Yankees getting bullpen injuries, to me, is the worst thing that can happen. Because bullpen injuries are the whole year. Once a guy starts getting hurt, like Trevor May's been out. Trevor May's trying to come back. But he got hurt and then came back and then got hurt again.
The rest isn't the same when you're a reliever.
It's not the same because it's the up and down nature of it. You start catching bullpen injuries, that's tragic. And the other thing is, the Yankees were being carried by a great bullpen for a long part of the beginning part of the season.
Oh, yeah.
You had the best bullpen in baseball. They have had one of the best bullpens for a long time. And now you start catching some injuries in it. The starters are going to have to, give you a little bit more, or you're not going to get some of those wins. And if the starters have to go longer, are they going to be as effective as they've been, being able to only go, hey, as long as I make it 5 or 6 innings, the bullpen's got enough arms to finish it off for me no matter what I do. That comfort is gone. You got to be the guy for a little bit longer. But Nasty Nestor, he'll be fine no matter what.
Nasty Nestor with a 1.8 ERA. Is he the best bargain in the game? I think they're paying him $700K for basically Cy Young play.
So has he had even a bad start?
I don't think so.
I'll pull up his starts right now.
Not that I can think off the top of my head. He has 56 strikeouts to 11 walks, 9 earned runs in 8 games. So, no.
His last start against the White Sox, he gave up 3 earned runs. So if you
that has to be the most in all of his games, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think
3's not even bad. And how many innings?
It was 5 innings.
Okay, that's solid. It keeps you in the game. I got no problem with that.
That game jumped his ERA on the season from 1.35 to a 1.8 though. So
right, it's hard to be Jacob deGrom. It really is.
Yeah, but Jacob deGrom doesn't have that stash.
You're right. Imagine he did. We'd be talking about just no runs on the year.
Well, so this would have been my only contender.
Okay.
To even give it to you. Staying in New York, Tyler McGill was a 1.93 ERA in the month of April. And in 28 innings pitched, he had 27 strikeouts. He then had a start against Atlanta, went 5.1, let up 3 runs. That ballooned his ERA to 2.4. His last start, he went 1.1, and he let up 8 earned runs. But that's where he went on the DL after that. So I have to assume coming into that game or during that game, he got hurt, and that it just wasn't there. But, yeah, I mean, Nestor's got to be the best value in the league right now. The always question is, when do guys blow up? When does the arm, when do you get that bad start? Because everybody's going to have one at some point in time. It's how do you bounce back from it?
Yeah.
Where do you go? But right now he's been leading the Yankees to the promised land.
He sure has been. It's been fun to watch. You know who also has been pitching wonderfully? Outside of one start. He's been pitching really solid, and his most recent start was excellent.
Are we going to talk about a guy who is very excited to see Love and Thunder soon?
He sure is. Noah Syndergaard. Dennis's pick for the Cy Young, I believe. Last start went 8 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 5 Ks. That's what you want to see out of him. And you know what? I believe the Angels are up to 6th in the league in ERA. And they're, a game and a half out of the AL West right now?
Yeah,
so
they're 27-18.
27-18, 2 games out in the AL West. This is what you want to see. This is what we were looking for out of the Angels. They've been hitting really well. Their team's been playing. They have a lot of role players on their team, and their stars have been playing well, and just everything seems to have been going right for the Angels. And their pitching is finally in a place where it's actually pretty solid.
They got a tough stretch coming up.
Yes, they do.
They have a tough stretch.
What are their matchups?
They have
Toronto's
next 5
not very
games:
tough.
Toronto, and then Yankees. So it'll be.
And then I believe that they had the Mets at some point too, right?
Some
point?
Yeah.
June 10th through the 12th.
Okay, so probably a series after that or something.
Yeah.
Right now, their next couple series: Toronto, the Yankees, Philadelphia, Boston, the Mets.
That's a
tough stretch.
That's a lot of offense.
That's a tough stretch.
So their pitching's about to get tested. Bottom line.
And again, you could say that Toronto's not even with Toronto being as bad as they've been, they're still 23-20
for sure, and they're absolutely a threat.
So
lineup.
everything has gone wrong for them that could go wrong, and they've got a winning record. For all the teams who have had everything go right up until recently, that could go right.
Like a month ago, you said you were playing Boston. It was like, all right, well, their offense is batting collectively 180. Well, this week they're not batting 180 anymore.
Here's the craziest team to me for the season is the Yankees. The first week of the season, first 10 games of the season, they're terrible. Break it up. They're the worst. This guy yelling for Cashman's
head. Oh, yeah.
You wanted him gone. Worst guy ever. Terrible.
He kicked my baby.
Then it was they're the best team that's ever existed, and they may never lose again. And then they're out here getting humped by the Orioles. And, oh, no, here it is, the collapse. And now some injuries and some things like that. Man, baseball's a fickle game.
Yes, it is. And it is a very long season.
So I would say I'm gonna remain with they've got a tough schedule coming up.
Yes. And what we're 45 games in, 44.
Depends on the team.
Depends on the team.
The Mets
roughly
have played some of the more games than almost every other team.
The Mets have played, I think, the most in the league. Yeah, 46.
Yeah, we've already had like 5 doubleheaders.
When are they going to get a break? Why are they playing so many more games in the same amount of time as everybody else? Give these guys an extended rest. When is this rest coming?
Dude, it's a good question.
They figured they'd get all the games when they were hot. That way they can't have a monumental collapse again.
I suppose.
Funny.
I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't mind not having a
that's a
monumental collapse.
That's a fun game. Let's go for it.
Okay.
Who's in the lead right now
for
their divisions? Who do we think is the most ripe for a collapse this season?
Most right, leading. Like
right now, you're in the division. So we'll go line by line.
Okay.
In American League East,
yep,
the Yankees are in first place.
Yep.
Do we think that they are likely to remain there, or to fall out of the top spot?
I think they'll fall out at some point. I think it's gonna, as the season progresses, the AL East, the top of it will get a lot more competitive. Like, listen, they're playing the Rays this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 4-game series. If they got swept, all of a sudden it's the Rays are half game out.
Yep.
But if they split, whatever. I was talking to Josh about it. If they split, I would be happy with that for the Yankees. I could also see the Twins falling off in the AL Central.
So there we go. The Central, right? Twins are 27-17. Chicago 22-21.
Do you want to know why it's the Twins?
Why is the Twins?
These are the teams they've played so far this season. So I'm going to start all the way from the beginning. They had a series against Seattle, tough team. Dodgers, they played 2 games against, tough team.
Mm-hmm.
Boston, when Boston was bad, they played Kansas City, White Sox, Detroit, Rays, Baltimore, Oakland. Houston, they got swept. And then they got hot when they played Cleveland, Oakland, Kansas City, and Detroit again.
Interesting.
So their last 4 series were meatballs.
And all it takes is a Buxton injury, and then everything falls apart.
Hey, but knock on wood, he's been staying healthy
Well,
and playing like an MVP.
Then speaking of which, who's their series coming up?
Kansas City. Kansas City.
And then who's after that?
Detroit.
So
I'm tired of all this in-division stuff. It's very annoying.
So they're gonna just smack around a very weak division. So the question is that you look at the plus minus, the differentials on stuff. Chicago's at -33, even though they're 22-21. The Cleveland Guardians are 18-22, but they're a +5. So I think Chicago has actually been lucky, better than good. I don't know if the Twins are going to drop out, especially with how weak everybody else is. Mm-hmm. And if they make it closer to the All-Star break and they're in that position, that's when you're going to start seeing all these trades go down.
Yeah,
everybody's going to load up, load out, and try to see who they can take down.
For me, it's like if the White Sox get hot and happen to run into the Twins during whatever stretch that is, because I'm sure they play them again, it could get more interesting. But yes, the Twins have been playing extremely well. They've been very competitive, and they've had an easy schedule.
Who do you trust more, a team that scores a lot of runs or a team that prevents a lot of runs? Because I have a thought, I have a hypothesis.
I mean, they say defense wins championships, right? But I don't know if that's necessarily how this league is built now.
I think defense does win championships because you have to be able. Again, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. Stop the team and don't let them kick a 54-yard field goal, right?
Yeah.
Like let's talk about it, right? So I'm with it, but you're in that situation because you scored. Right? You're in that situation that your defense has the opportunity to go win it for you, and they have to win it for you to do anything. Right. You look at the Rams and the Bengals. They win because one team's defense played better than the other team's defense. So, that's it. So, to me, I actually look at runs scored right now, and I go, is your lineup going to do well? Because the reality is that when we play a regular season, to some degree, you have 5 starters who show up. But when we get down to the nitty-gritty, you're going to start to shrink that to 4. And when we get to the playoffs, it's 3 to 4, depending on how we're smoking through guys.
Yep.
So can you score runs against good teams consistently? So runs scored to me becomes a big component of, are you going to have a successful postseason to some degree?
Yep.
Is your pitching enough to be there? So when I look at this, the White Sox just are not scoring any runs. They're at 154 runs scored. Minnesota's at 187. I don't care who they played. You guys have played roughly the same amount of games, and they've outscored them by 30-plus runs. It's hard to make that up if your bats just don't play.
How's the Twins' pitching been?
Twins pitching has let up 155 runs against, which is great.
Their team ERA is fourth in the AL, 3.31.
They've been
That's
great.
pretty solid.
And that's why for me, like the bigger thing to me though is the runs scored. Chicago can't stop people from scoring against them. Their offense has been light.
Yep.
At 154. And we're in a, that's me saying, like, the Yankees lead the East with 208 runs scored. Los Angeles leads the entire American League in runs with 214. And this goes back to what we talked about with having Ohtani, having Trout, Rendon, Walsh, like Ward. That lineup can smash.
Yep.
They're scoring more runs than everybody else. And the fact that they only let up 166 is great. But I feel like when they face Houston, Houston, you got good pitching. But this team can hit.
Yep. And I think everybody you're listening right now has at least the potential lineup to do damage.
Yeah.
So, like, you're actually not even asking your pitching staff to do that much.
Yep.
It's like, hey, guys, just be, like, solid. Just don't have a 7 ERA.
Yep.
And we can go out and win games for you.
Yep.
So to answer your question, I think runs is more important because then you're not asking the other side of it to be like
perfect.
Yeah, just be good.
Yep.
Just be good. And then I think that's what everybody's doing. And then if you get the right group of arms and they're not good, they're great. Well, now you've really got something. Now you can go into a playoff series and go win ball games that really matter. So,
and this is something that's surprising to me, and I don't know if it's just a happenstance. There's only 2 teams in the American League that have over 200 runs scored.
Okay.
Right? The National League East has 2. The National League Central has 2. The National League West has 2.
Interesting.
There are 6 teams in the National League that have scored over 200 runs and only 2 that have scored.
And is it safe to say that all 2 sets are at the top of the division?
No, actually.
Really? Okay.
Philadelphia has scored 200 runs, and they are 3rd. And they are 4 games below 500.
And is it the Braves or the Mets?
The Mets have 222, which is 1 run less than San Francisco for 2nd in the National League.
Oh man, we needed that 1 run 2 days ago.
Or just a couple more yesterday when you got smoked.
Facts.
Milwaukee Brewers 201, Cardinals 208. Both of them have allowed 166 runs against, which is interesting.
And they are atop the NL Central.
And they are atop. Then you have the Dodgers at 236, and San Francisco is below San Diego Padres at 223, and that is because they have allowed 202 runs against, whereas Padres have only let up 164.
Gotcha.
So I think
how many runs Padres score?
Padres have scored 190.
Okay, so they're up there.
Again, I'm not.
Oh no, I was more just out of curiosity.
You're 30 plus runs behind San Francisco, right? Like, and that's my thing. Like, would you rather be able to hit or pitch? Both matter, right? Both matter to some degree, but I've seen this year the Mets have always had pitching, right? And then we've been frustrated with being like a roughly around 500 team.
Yep.
They're 12 games above 500 right now, and they've had almost everything that could go wrong. So, like, the fact that they're winning that much, it's because they're scoring so many runs.
Yep.
And it covers for so many of the other problems that exist. So
that's why for me, I'm not in a rush to get DeGrom or Scherzer back. Offense, sure, you want to keep carrying. Arms, get as healthy as you possibly can, because when we have that rotation in place, like the real rotation we thought we were going to start with at the beginning of the season, we're not going to give up a lot of runs at all. So all of a sudden, we're talking about like the Mets are a legitimate contender, and I think that's what we kind of thought that the construction would be. I think at the beginning of the season, I do remember saying that like I had questions about how legit the Mets offense would be, and they've been solid so far. I know we talked about last week the little bit of a hole at third base, but other than that, I think everybody else has been producing at a very high level. So it's good to see.
Speaking of producing at a high level, Shohei Ohtani watch.
Da-da-da-da.
So, Shohei's been magical as a pitcher for the whole season. He's sitting at a 2.82 ERA. In 38 innings pitched, he has 53 strikeouts to only 9 walks. His whip is a hair above a 1. He's at 1.02. He's been Cy Young worthy as a pitcher for this season. Last 7 games, however, with his bat, not doing so great. OPS below 600 in his last 7. Now, for his last 15 games, he's rocking somewhere close to a 940 OPS.
Okay.
So this last week really dragged that down. He had been pretty hot. And
I feel
for
like his strikeouts have been up.
Yeah, he's in his last 10 game, in his last 7, he struck out 10 times. Right? So in 7 games, that's a lot of strikeouts.
Yep.
But in his last 15, he's got 15. So
Okay.
so
this
he
last
had
week's
a
really been
real
slow.
bad time for him. But he does average he is averaging for the year close to 1 strikeout a game. The thing for me with him this season in general is the bat is not hot consistently like it was last year.
Nope.
And I don't know why.
You think he's getting pitched differently? Because I think that was what I was reading about Vlad as well, is that they're just pitching. They're not giving him strikes at all, and I think I've seen that a lot of his ABs. Like he's just getting a bunch of garbage off speed out of the zone.
Well, so that's one of the things to me that I think that I wonder if his pitching impacts who he allows himself to be as a hitter. Because for me, if I was Shohei and I was in a situation where everybody's throwing me junk, I'll take the walk, and then I'll steal second.
Yep.
Because I'm the fastest player in baseball. Like last year was the fastest player in the baseball, getting down to first. Right? He's super fast. So right now I feel like he's not stealing, he's not doing any of that stuff either. He's got 7 stolen bases on the year. But last year he stole 26 bases. Dude, go ahead. Let your freak flag fly.
I mean, that also might be the thing of like, hey, like you're pitching really good, like don't hurt yourself.
And that's my point. Is the pitching impacting like, hey, you know what? Like I am pitching great. We are winning. I'm not going to risk my health by trying to steal a base.
Yep.
I could jam my hand. I could, rip a piece off my finger and now I can't hold the ball right. I could pull a hamstring. Like there's so many different things I'm going to do. So I'm not going to do any of that. And he's now a very human, 800 OPS guy.
Yeah.
Instead of a very monstrous 950 OPS guy.
Right.
Who also happens to be a Cy Young winner. So he's still magic. Like he's still magic as a player, right? Because he's so good as a pitcher this year. That his hitting could be 800, and you still look at it and you go, you're in an MVP conversation. If he continues this though, he won't win the MVP. He might win the Cy Young.
I mean, he's definitely up there. Where do you think he ranks him in the top arms right now?
I would say he's in the top 10.
He's not even number 1 on his team right now this season.
In what?
Just in general, like Patrick Sandoval's been their ace for sure.
What's Sandoval sitting at?
Right now his ERA on the season's a 1.79 in 7 starts.
So he's better than Nasty Nestor. He's worth more than Nestor.
Yeah.
Nestor's getting paid more than him. So we just found a guy already in the AL who...
You know who we also need to talk about? While we're talking ERA?
What'd you find?
Justin Verlander.
I don't want to talk about Verlander.
You don't want to talk about Verlander?
No. Verlander to me... The downside for me is that like he's now in the category of like he might be cheating. Like I can't do it to him anymore. I can't do it to him anymore. I can't. I'm with you. I just don't trust it. Bro, he was finished and he was washed. And then he went to Houston and he was unwashed. It's so hard for me. I'm sure he's good. Well, like give me his numbers. Go ahead.
He has a 1.22 with what is his strikeouts? 49 strikeouts on the year. 49 Ks to 9 walks. Opponents are batting 161 off of him, which is lowest among starters. He is a .72 whip in 8 starts.
Yeah, I mean his FIP this year is sitting at a 3.81.
He's tied for second in the majors with WAR for pitchers.
Yeah, again, he's been fantastic. I don't trust anything about Houston players.
Okay.
Like after seeing that Cole was using sticky shit, after seeing that they cheated in so many other categories of stuff, Like, it's great to see Verlander at almost 40 years old pitching it phenomenally. I'm super happy for him. He's one of the top 3 pitchers of the last 20 years. He's a stud. I won't hold it against him in terms of like his Hall of Fame credential too much, but I also just give everything a grain of salt. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It feels weird for me. It feels dirty. It feels dirty.
All right.
That's just me.
That's okay.
That's just me. But going back to it, when you're talking about pitching and you're talking about like how have guys been, I still, again, Ohtani's been better than, and this is what we were saying last year. Ohtani's been better than a Noah Syndergaard for this season. And on top of that, he's, from an OPS standpoint, been one of the top 3 hitters on the Angels. Like, the fact that that's who you are is crazy.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm with you. Maybe he's not better than his own teammate right now.
Mm-hmm.
But, my gosh, this man is nuts.
Yes, he is. I'm hyped for Tristan McKenzie, too.
Yeah.
Little 2.70 ERA right now.
Killing
8
it.
starts.
Listen, we talked about it. He's got amazing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely amazing stuff. His biggest thing he needs to do is just, like, lock it up. Like, keep it consistently going because he gets a little bit unfocused and it all can slide off for him. And I just think I want to see him keep that mentality. Stay strong, stay focused, and dominate. Because if he's that, Guardians are in a great spot.
Yeah.
Because you're now sitting there. You got 2 pitchers who can really do it. You got a couple young players who can hit.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, reload your team this year. Right? Yeah. And you reload, you guys next year are a team that can do it.
Absolutely.
And speaking of the Guardians, you want to hear their clutch stat for the season?
Hit me.
They are 3rd in the league with runners in scoring position OPS at 833. Do you know who the 2 teams ahead of them are?
Mets?
Wrong.
Dodgers?
Correct. They're number 2.
Giants?
Nope. They're number 4.
Okay. The Yankees?
Nope. Yankees are 12th.
Wow.
Mets are 10th.
Okay.
The most surprising thing is the team that's in last. We'll get to them.
Are the Astros up there?
The Astros are...
They're not, obviously, because you don't see
They're
them.
11th. They're right in
Okay.
between the 2 New York teams.
Gotcha. All right, hit me. Who's 2-1?
The Los Angeles Angels have an 854 OPS with runners in scoring position this year.
Okay.
It's a good recipe for success.
They're 2?
As we have
They're
seen.
number 1. The Dodgers were number 2 with 837.
Gotcha.
The Toronto Blue Jays are 30th in the league with a 562 OPS with runners in scoring position.
Ouch.
That's not great.
No.
But again, like, do we think that's where they're going to stay?
No.
Nuh-uh. But that is obviously
Telling
contributing
to why
their...
they haven't been there.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Definitely.
For sure. Absolutely. You want to know my sad player stat of the year?
Sure.
Hit
Ready
me.
for this?
Yes.
Andres Jimenez.
What do you got?
So Andres Jimenez was one of the top prospects in the New York Mets organization. He's one of the pieces that was traded for Francisco Lindor. He is still 23 years old. He still plays shortstop, and he is this season batting .288 with a .797 OPS for the year, and he is making league minimum for himself.
Yes, he is.
So
Big sad boy vibes there. We're paying $300 million for...
we're paying $34
less.
million a year for a guy who has roughly the exact same OPS. So
Yeah. Great fantasy pickup for me.
great play. Great
Yeah.
play. Excellent work. Excellent job all the way around.
Ooh.
Oh, shoot. Things happening on Josh Gerson's phone.
Josh Donaldson is issuing an apology. Breaking news.
Breaking news. Let's apologize for everything.
Yeah.
You know who didn't apologize? Like, he kind of apologized, but he also at the same time said everybody needs to fucking chill.
Yeah.
Just blanked on his name.
That
Dave
doesn't
Chappelle.
help.
Dave Chappelle,
When Dave Chappelle said some things in one of his comedy skits,
which was hysterical.
he
by the way.
got lit up.
Sure did.
And he came out and he was just like, nope. Like, guys, it's a comedy. Get over it.
Yep.
Like,
absolutely.
We're too sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing that happens, and he didn't do anything, with Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart years ago was hosting some tweets from him when years earlier came out. He apologized for it. 10 years later, the same tweets resurfaced, and everybody's like, we need you to issue an apology. And he was like, no. And they were like, why? He goes, I already apologized for it. Yeah, but we need you to apologize again. No, you don't. Absolutely not.
You saw that on TikTok recently?
Probably.
I'm like, I know I heard this exact spiel like yesterday.
Probably.
We on the same TikTok.
Everybody's on the same TikTok now. Yeah, but like that's the exact point. Like,
yes.
you don't. There's a right and a wrong, and there's true rights and true wrongs. If you feel like you did something wrong, go ahead, say whatever you need to say.
It's exhausting.
But you better be done after that, and don't make it more than it needs to be. Mm-hmm. But we're in culturally, we're in a moment where everything needs to be so big.
And I think there's a lot bigger issues that need to be addressed.
Way bigger. Like, let's talk about the fact that a whole bunch of young kids were gunned down in a freaking elementary school because an 18-year-old kid was able to walk in, buy a semi-automatic weapon, body armor, close to 400 rounds, and walk in there and just start shooting kids up because he felt like it on a day. And all of that is not as big of an outrage at scale as a guy calling somebody Jackie.
Yep.
And having to issue apologies and having to talk about it. The fact that they even have the same weight of media attention in any world, in any universe,
unbelievable,
is proving the fact that we are focusing on shit that doesn't fucking matter.
Yep.
And we need to all focus up and focus on real things. Mm-hmm. And we're happy that we can come and we can entertain people who listen to this and have a great time and talk about a game because it's just a game that we all enjoy.
And it sucks for the masses because you're calling for people who actually have power to do something and they're not. And then you're having people like Steve Kerr, last night Joey Votto, making statements about we need real change. Like the things we're doing in sports are not important compared to this.
But somebody will come out and say, don't take my guns.
Yep.
The NRA has you brainwashed and you don't even know it.
It is a very tough, unfortunate situation. Our hearts go out to all the people in Uvalde, Texas, and in Buffalo and everywhere that has been affected by all of this. It's just heartbreaking. Yeah.
With that sad end, we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Appreciate y'all. Hug your family. Hug your friends.
Baseball lifestyle. It's my lifestyle.